Hi guys. All right, we have one that's just a little bit longer tonight, but it's gonna be a really fun one and I love the way it's turning out. So we're gonna make these really fun little fabric hearts. So if you have, like I had this roll of muslin fabric, that is one that I used to use for waxing in the salon, so I happen to have this roll left over. You can also just use, here I just got a giant chunk of white fabric from Walmart, and I was using it for some other projects, but we're just gonna tear off little strips of this. So you could use an old like white bed sheet. You could buy one of those just flat white bed sheets at Walmart. They're just, I think, $3 or $4 for like a twin size. You really just need small pieces of fabric. So even if you can find an old, like an old curtain or something that you can come across, but it really doesn't take too much material and they're really simple and fun to make. So we're gonna start out with making a heart first. I'm still kind of sticking with that 25 days of hearts, but this one you could do with the heart that we're gonna do it with, or you could just make a big circle, paint kind of a big white circle or even a black circle, or put a piece of circular piece of wire, you know, take a piece of wire and just make a circle shape, staple that down, and then put your flowers kind of over top of that if you wanted to do a neat spring bouquet or something. But I'm gonna show you first how I'm gonna do the heart, and then we're gonna go in and do these little flowers. So if you have, I happen to just have Cricut paper. If you just have plain, like contact paper, just cheap contact paper that you can find anywhere, you could do that with this, but I'm just gonna cut out a heart. So I'm kind of gonna lay this paper about as wide as I want that heart. And we're gonna make the heart, in comparison to our board, come in about 1 inch. So we'll make our heart about that big. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut that piece of paper. This is Cricut vinyl, but any kind of contact paper or anything that is sticky would work for this. And then we'll fold that in half and we're gonna cut out a heart shape. I'm gonna cut my height too so we don't make it too big. So we're just taking our contact paper or Cricut vinyl and we're gonna go ahead and cut a heart out. I want the heart to be just a little bit wider again, so these flowers can kind of lay all the way across the side. If you wanted to do your heart on a piece of paper first, and then trace it onto the vinyl and cut it out that way, that's probably how smart people would do it, but I usually take the quick, easy way out and see what we get. That's probably about right. Maybe still just a little bit tall on this top part. That's about the right size. So then we're just gonna go ahead and stick that heart down to our board. If I can get the backing off. Hope you guys are having a good Friday night. How many of you guys are shopping for the Super Bowl tonight? Are you guys having Super Bowl parties? Our daughter loves football, but she is up in the cities and we're down here in Iowa, so I don't even know that we're gonna turn the TV on Sunday. I think we might just hang out. Okay, so we just took a piece of Cricut vinyl. You could take a piece of contact paper, whatever you've got that's a little bit sticky, so we can put our heart down just to keep, so what we want is to show that piece of wood after we're done, and I'm gonna paint the rest white. So we're just gonna take our acrylic paint and a thick paintbrush, and we're just gonna kind of gently go over the rest of the wood so the heart shows when we're done. You really wouldn't have to do the paint part of it either. You could always just draw a heart on. Use a white paint marker or something and just draw a heart and then go around that with your flowers. You could actually just make the entire heart out of flowers. That would be really cute too. So this is just an old chunk of lumber that was laying around. I picked one that had a little bit of texture to it. So when we added the white paint, you could see some of that texture come through. I'm gonna go ahead and paint that top piece too. It's got a little ledge on it. I could have cut that off, but I didn't mind it. Adds a little bit of extra character. Okay. So then we'll just go ahead and take our piece of vinyl off. And there we've got our heart. So that is our first step, and we're gonna go ahead and just let that dry. And while that is drying, I'm gonna set my paint off to the side here. Okay, while that's drying, we're gonna go ahead and get started with the flowers. As you can see on this one, I just have a piece of paper plate on the back. And so I'm just gonna cut a bunch of circles in different sizes. I kind of like that they're all different sizes when we're done. So we'll just take a piece of paper plate, a piece of cardboard, a chunk of cardstock, whatever you've got laying around. Anything that you can cut little circles out of, and in different sizes. And if you kind of want to lay your circles out before you get started to see what size, if you want some bigger, some smaller, however you want them to look, go ahead and lay them out before you start putting the fabric on. If you want to. If you're like me and you just kind of wing it, that works too. I did a couple that I really didn't like at first. They were just too thick and too full, and I really didn't care for them. So it took me a few just to get the hang of it and kind of see what I liked and what I didn't like. So then we'll go ahead and take our piece of fabric. Again, on this one, I had a wide strip of it, but you really only need about 3/4 of an inch. So whatever fabric you have, find stuff that will tear easily, because that's what's going to give you your rough edge. So when you're rolling the flower, it gives you that nice rough edge to it. So about 3/4 of an inch, a little over a 1/2 inch, and then go ahead and just tear your fabric. Depending on how big you want your flower is how long you're going to have it, but I would just recommend starting with it a little bit longer and then cutting it off if you have too much. It doesn't take too much to make one of these, so you know, don't feel like you can't just do it with a little tiny piece of fabric you've got laying around. So we're just going to take that piece of paper plate and go ahead and just stick a piece of, or a little bit of hot glue right in the center of that, and that's where we'll get started. Doesn't really matter too much how you start it, because we're going to cover this first little bit up anyway. So just lay your fabric right in there and glue that down. And then what we're going to be doing all the way around this piece of paper plate is just rolling your fabric and gluing, and rolling your fabric and gluing all the way around that paper plate. These ones I actually did without a paper plate, and that works too. If you don't want to cut a piece of cardboard, you can do that and just glue it to the side of the fabric all the way around instead of gluing it to the plate. But it worked well to glue it right to this plate, and then you've got kind of a flat surface to work on, and you can work your way around in that circle. So then we'll just go ahead, and as we spin it, we'll keep sticking it down with glue and rolling the fabric. So just glue and roll and stick, glue and roll and stick all the way around. If you want it a little bit thicker, you could double it up. The one thing you just want to make sure that you don't do is when you put your glue down, don't stick your fabric down until you've rolled it, because if you get that glue on this fabric when you're halfway through that flower, that is going to show later. You can cover it up with more fabric, but just a tip, if you keep it rolling before you stick it into the glue, then you're gonna have those nice fun edges show up there and you won't have the glue sticking out on the top. I kind of liked using the cream and the white together, especially with the old barn board being used in it. I thought they blended pretty well together. For spring though, if you found some fun spring fabric colors, like get a pink or a turquoise or like a mint green or a lime green and do some fun spring colors with these flowers, they would be adorable, even if you did an Easter egg shape or just put a few flowers on a board too, would be really cute. Could always write something on it. That's all we're doing, guys. We're just taking the strip of fabric, rolling it around, sticking it down into the glue. If you want the flower to be a little bit bigger and stick out a little bit more, when you put your glue down, just don't pull it as tight. Kind of let that all kind of come up and stick up a little bit higher. Just don't pull it down as tight to the board if you want to get a little bit more height. You could always double it up. Once you get around it and you decide, I don't really like that, go ahead and just go right back around it and add more fabric to the top of it. It'll be a little bit of a thicker flower, but that's not bad. Now I'll show you guys kind of how to finish it when we get to the end. Once you run out of cardboard, just go ahead and start gluing the edges of the fabric. If you run out of cardboard. And you probably want to, because you don't really want that cardboard to be exposed or showing when you're all done. Last week we actually had I had you guys on one of the posts last week sign up to be part of the paintbrush drawing, and I need to draw the names for that paintbrush tonight, so I've got that here too. In just a minute when we finish this, we'll go ahead and draw names for those paintbrushes and get those sent out. Okay, so now that we've worked our way all the way around the flower, we're just gonna go ahead and hot glue right at the bottom and bring our fabric around and lay it underneath. And that's it, guys. That is all there is to it. You can cut off the extra string if you want to. And then go ahead and kind of just lay them wherever you feel like. I thought it would be cute to come up one side and kind of embellish it like that. Maybe a few too many. Let's go with like about like that, but yeah, whatever you think. Just, and then you'll just hot glue those down wherever you like them. So that's all there is to it, guys. It's a simple one. It's easy. It's kind of time consuming once you start going around with all this fabric, but once they're done, I think they're adorable and you can use them in so many different ways. So that is the heart for today, and then we'll go ahead and draw names for the paintbrushes. We've got our stack from the other day. Barb Sowers is our winner. So Barb, I'm gonna get your paintbrushes sent out to you guys. Thanks everybody for joining me, and happy Friday night. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and enjoy the Super Bowl. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.